Hi, it's the OGGM, and it's Wednesday, and it's about 10 o'clock, and I'm heading on down to the office. It's been a while since we've done a walk and talk, so I thought it'd be a good time to get on outside, appreciate this lovely November morning before the next round of fog rolls in, and do a little walk and talk. About once a week, there's a new round of craziness that hits the interweb regarding our beloved hobby of tabletop role-playing game. And 9 out of 10 times, I will jump in on that and usually have something insightful or stupid to say. And today is one of those days. So over the weekend, there was another dust-up amongst the interweb involving, guess what game? Of course, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I swear that game causes more controversy and anger and handshaking and rage, and I think it surpasses 4th edition now for just general internet nonsense regarding what in and of itself is a basically harmless system. Now, yes, there's a lot of ugly politics involved with choices Hasbro has made, and I have discussed them multiple times. In fact, I recently had another dust-up with somebody about my opinions of Hasbro in 5th edition and was called some very not nice names, but whatever. I have come to the conclusion that I am alone on my island of my opinions of 5th edition and Hasbro and the choices they've made. So, yeah, whatever. Apparently, this week's controversy involves feats in 5th edition. Whether they are necessary, not necessary, do they make sense, do they not make sense, are there better ways to do them, are they just, there to make broken builds? I don't know. I rarely have ever used feats. 9 out of 10 times I just really didn't see the need for the character I was playing. It's like, do I really need that? Is it going to make me any better? Not really, So usually in 5th, if the DM is allowing feats, and remember, feats are optional. You don't have to allow them. I don't think Wizards of the Coast has changed that yet. If they have, please let me know. But as far as I know, feats are an option. You don't have to include them. You could just take the stat bonus. And most of the times I'll take the stat bonus because a +2 to 1 stat or a +1 to 2 stats usually makes a huge difference, as opposed to, hey, I can wear armor better now, when really it's just not the kind of things I think about. If I do take a feat, I'm usually going to take toughness or resistance, because I'd like a bonus saving throw advantage that I didn't have before. I mean, rogues should definitely take resistance for the saves they don't get, like con and wisdom, since they're always, poking traps and stuff. But anyways, so there was a dust up. My buddy Aaron the Pendatic made a video about feats and whether they were necessary or not, and some silliness, and apparently he got a lot of hate for it. So I'm going to jump in on that bandwagon and probably get a lot of hate. Oh, being that it is an optional rule, I think, are feats necessary? I think the problem is with feats is that it has a very video game feel to it. Like, you're walking along, you jump a level, and suddenly I know how to do this, which I didn't know how to do 5 seconds ago. Because, I've leveled, and at this level lets me get a feat, and I'm going to take this feat. So boom, suddenly I'm a sharpshooter. And that's a very video game thinking to it, And since so many of the feats sort of attempt to reflect real world things, there's that makes no sense. How do you suddenly know that when you didn't know it 5 seconds ago? So I think that's the problem. Feats, I think, were introduced Because at the time that Feats were introduced, lots of other games were doing the idea of special talents you could tag onto your character in addition to the normal stuff. So you could take all the normal wizardy stuff in these other games, but then there was things like talents or quirks or advantages and disadvantages, and you'd be like, normal wizard stuff and I'm double jointed. Normal wizard stuff and I have photographic memory. So there were a lot of games about the exact same time. And it was kind of during the switch from all the splat books and kits and advantages and disadvantages to sort of, is there a way we can do this that is a little less time intensive? Basically the whole point is somebody wants to get better at something or pick up the ability to do something extra with usually something they already have. Let's take power attack for a good example of a feat. Basically, power attack is the guy saying, I want to hit better and do more damage. So in addition to all my training, here's now the ability for me to do more damage, hit better, be more effective. So, yeah, that's, I think, what Feats sort of came from and what the general idea was. You already have this character. Here are things you could take to make your character more unique and better at what they do. A better fighter, a better thief, a better sneaky guy, a better spellcaster, a few more languages, whatever. Now, unfortunately, there's feats that can stack on top of feats that eventually make really broken builds. And sometimes I think a lot of DMs feel like I have no way to compensate for these broken builds, which of course you can, because if they can have feats, that means your bad guys can have feats too. And anything the players can do, your NPCs can do as good or better. So it's not really unbalanced. It's just sort of that you suddenly know something that you didn't know 5 seconds ago, that I think has sort of started this latest round of 5th edition pooping on. It's a dumb mechanic. How come you suddenly know that and you did it? Well, because I think, again, it's that video game thinking, la la la, bing, suddenly I have photographic memory and I didn't have it a minute ago. And I think there is a feat that gives you pretty much photographic memory. So there's two ways to look at it, because a lot of the older games had training rules. And there's even training rules in the current game. And just the idea of video game level up, because I got experience points, but more realistically, experience points are going to be handed out at the end of the session. Your characters are probably going to take a long rest at the end of the session, if you're in a place to take the long rest, and start the next game fully healed, spells remastered, and ready to go. So if the DM hands out enough experience for you to level and you take the rest, that could explain the downtime you needed to pick up the feat. And again, let's go power attack, Suddenly I know how to hit better. Well, no, it's more like I've been doing the exact same thing for a really long time, and now I kind of get the rhythm down. Now I kind of see where I've been making mistakes. I've got this Charles Atlas book of, whatever, hitting things better. And, I've after that last battle, I've thought about it. I've thought about my mistakes, and I figured out this trick. Bam, power attack. I think it would be easier for people who don't like feats if the player says, okay, when I hit 4th, I'm taking this feat. So during my player character's downtime, I'm reading books, I'm training, I'm practicing. Whenever I'm in town, I'm devoting, 20 minutes to archery practice, 30 minutes to potion concocting, whatever I need that's behind the scenes. It doesn't really affect the game, just so that when I have the experience points and we have that downtime, I have learned the feat. That's probably the best way to do it. I mean, unless, of course, you end the game mid-combat, but everybody gets the experience, then I would say, most DMs say you have the experience, but you can't level up until you've rested. So again, at least with like the combat feats and the active feats, you know, power talk, sniper, sentinel, speed cooking, rage swimming. Remember, rage swimming was a thing at one point in time. I'm angry, so I swim better. Somewhere in the back of the mind is that percolating idea that, no, I didn't really just instantly video game get this. I have been working on it. You know, behind the scenes, during dead time, I was practicing, studying my notes. So now I can hit better. Now I'm a better shot. Now I understand this mathematical formula better that allows me to do my spells better. That's probably the happy medium. If you're going to allow feats, you know, take the extra 5 seconds to say, yeah, some amount of training was done in the background, and now you have that. I'm not going to worry about it because, you know, you could say, well, feats break my game. Well, one, they're optional. And two, you can give your bad guys feats. There's nothing that says you can't. So anything your players can take, you can do better. Remember, you're the GM. So yeah, it's just that there were training rules in the old games. You know, the idea that I'm taking time and money to train, and now I know this, and that's sort of gone with the 5th edition feats. And so there's that idea that bam, you just suddenly know sharpshooter. But it's like in the old game, you would have to have trained for days or even years to be a sharpshooter. And really, it's like, no, it's 4 levels of me taking shots and studying my shots and going over the fights in my mind and taking notes and remastering my bow. So now I have sharpshooter. I think that's the happy medium. Now, if there is a problem with feats, it's probably the passive feats. And again, those could be explained away. Most of them, like toughness. Here's a feat that lets me get extra hit points every round. Just Now, you don't really train in hit points, except, of course, yeah, you do, because you've spent 4 levels worth of getting hit and toughening up and learning how to roll the blow, and you know, your skin is covered over with scars now, and you are tougher to kill. The only ones that don't make sense are ones that, like, you know, the photographic memory one, which amongst other things says, if you read it, if you forgot something, the DM has to tell you what it was. At least I think that's how it says. I'd have to go back and check. So, no amount of training explains photographic memory. Except, of course, it does. Because we know that there are mind castles and tricks people can do, because, you know, if we've watched Sherlock Holmes or anything like that, where you can create a series of exercises to retain facts. So technically, yes, you could train yourself to have a mind castle, to remember things, and to duplicate photographic eidetic memory. So it doesn't really break the game. Yeah, I know there are formulas for feat stacking that can create really broken builds. But even if you're running an alternate human, which again is optional, you get the first feat at first level, you don't get another feat to 4th, so you're investing 2 feats in to build your feat stacking broken build, which most of cost 2 or 3 feats to reach the level of the optimization. So you're looking at 8 levels worth of stuff to get something that, maybe lets you do a little extra damage, shoot an extra arrow, get an extra spell off. In the end, it's broken-ish, but it's no more or less broken than anything else in 5th. I mean, 5th is broken as it is. You just have to accept that if you're running 5th and you're going to allow feats, which remember, again, feats are optional. You don't have to allow them unless they've changed that rule. Please let me know if they have. That this is just something that's going to happen. Somebody is going to invest the time and the energy to break the game to come up with the combo that allows them to shoot 8 arrows around, each doing 6 points of damage. Fine. Okay. Well, it sucks. But again, remember, anything they do, you can do better. So rather than complaining about feats, give your bad guys feats. Joe's archer is shooting 6 arrows around. Each arrow's doing a minimum of 4 points of damage and hits on a 12 or greater. Yeah, that kind of sucks, but guess what? My 2 bad guy archers have the exact same thing. Oh yeah, and my goblins have the step down below. So they're all shooting 2 arrows around that are doing 2 points of damage each. And they hit it or 15 or less. Because you know what? My bad guys can take feats too. And if you're high enough level to get the build where you're shooting 6 arrows around, you're high enough level to fight somebody who's also got the same build. So remember, don't get upset about feats. First, they're optional. You can choose to not allow them. Second, mathematically, the stat bonus is better than the feat. +2 to intelligence is just intrinsically better than I suddenly know 3 extra languages. And if you allow feats, which you don't have to, your bad guys can take feats too. So, don't know why so many people got angry at Aaron. He is one of the most level-headed, nicest, coolest dudes in the YouTube universe. And really, he wasn't deserving of any of that BS. But yeah, that's my 2 cents of fate on feats. If you're gonna allow them, great, allow them. It just adds to the ridiculousness level of 5th edition. Who the fuck cares? It's 5th edition. We already know that it's designed to emulate a certain style of play. Embrace that and let them have the feats. But remember, your bad guys get the feats too. Remember, your bad guys get the feats too. And finally, remember, anything the player characters can do, your bad guys can do better. I am the OGGM. If you appreciate these walk and talks and my insight into this subject, let me know. If you think I should shut up and I have no idea what I'm talking about, let me know, because remember, I can't fix it if you don't tell me what's broken. If you haven't subscribed yet to my nonsense, please consider subscribing and help me reach 1,000 subs. I will do something crazy at 1,000 subs, like eat super hot ramen or get a tattoo or cut my hair into a mohawk. Or take another tour of CES Games and Anime. So like, share, subscribe, support, enjoy this beautiful summer day in the middle of winter, and above all, get off my land.